Per the roster agreement listed next is Amendment 032, offered by the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell. Would the gentleman like to offer his amendment?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The clerk shall report the amendment.
Amendment to the amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 3696, offered by Mr. Swalwell.
Without objection, the reading of the amendment is dispensed with. Mr. Swalwell is recognized for 5 minutes on his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this amendment would add transparency to the measure under consideration. As members know, H.R. 3696 would expand the liability limits in the existing Safety Act to expressly include cybersecurity technology, and the covered events to include cyber attacks, called in the bill qualifying cyber incidents. The Secretary would determine whether an event meets the required criteria to qualify. The Safety Act, as expanded by the measures we're considering today, targets an understandable need. We want to encourage companies to be innovative and push the envelope so that we can best protect ourselves from terrorism in the event of a cyber attack, and provide liability protection to those who are doing that. At the same time, Congress always must be careful when it seeks to provide a shield from traditional notions of liability. One way to show such care is to ensure Congress and the public understand and are notified as to how the Secretary has determined that a particular event qualifies for the protections afforded under the Act that wouldn't normally be given or provided. My amendment would require that transparency. My amendment would not change the Safety Act as modified in any substantive way, but it would require the Secretary to explain in the Federal Register his or her determination that an event met the statutory requirement or criteria for being a qualified cyber incident. This would allow Congress and the public to readily see how the law has been applied, so there's no confusion as to why an incident was qualified under the law. I know the authors of this bill worked long and hard to come to a compromise on the bill's language. With that in mind, and in the interest of bipartisanship, I'm willing to withdraw my amendment. But in lieu of pushing forward with my amendment, Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that you will commit to working with me and our staff to include language in the committee report to make clear that the Secretary should be transparent about his or her application of the expansion of the Safety Act in H.R. 3696 and explain how a particular set of facts meet the statutory definition of a qualified cyber incident. And with that, Mr. Chair, I would ask that, but before withdrawing my amendment, I'd like to yield to Mr. Richmond, who I think would also like to speak on the amendment.
Point.
Sure. And Mr. Chair,
Mr. Swalwell.
Reclaiming my time, can the Chair assure us that report language will be included that addresses this issue?
Yes, that is per our agreement.
Sure.
And I look forward to working with the gentleman on the report language as we move forward.
Great.
And
thank you again,
I appreciate
Chair,
your working with me and the committee on this amendment.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I yield back.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If there are no, there's no further discussion, that the amendment is withdrawn. There are no additional amendments listed on the roster. Are there any further amendments? I believe we will return now to